So our a value is in front of the x squared, so it's a 1. Our b is in front of the x. It is negative 11. And our c is the negative 80. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take those numbers and we're going to be putting them into the quadratic formula. So what I'm going to do first is let's write down the parts of that quadratic formula that are not going to be replaced with numbers. So it's going to be negative, and there's going to be a number in there, plus or minus the square root. We're going to have something squared, minus 4, I'll put little space holders, 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a. Okay, so the first one, what do I put in my first blank? Our b, which is negative 11. Kind of just putting it in parentheses only because it's a negative, so that we don't lose it. And then what goes in here?
Negative 11 again.
A negative 11.
That's squared.
And then these two are
1,
a and c.
1 and negative 80.
And then a is 1. Now we need to really just clean everything up. So, right here, this double negative makes that change to positive. The plus or minus stays. Square root. Now what is negative 11 squared? Positive 121. Okay, now we need to multiply all three of these together. What I'd like to look at first is what is the sign going to be? Negative times positive times negative. So it's going to be positive. Now we can just multiply everything together. So 4 times 80. $320. Oops. A is 1. So that's just 2, right?
How do we know if it's plus or minus?
Where?
Right there.
Under here?
No, where you just did.
Plus or minus right here? Leave it plus or minus. So I have 121 plus 320. 400 and
No,
441.
Over 2.
All over 2. Yeah, it really is. So now, is 441 a perfect square root?
No.
Can you try it?
If it is 21.
So the square root of 441 is 21.
So what do we do?
Okay. Now we have to deal with this plus or minus. So we're going to do one equation with the plus This is how we're going to get our two different solutions, and one with the negative, or the subtraction.
You have to use one. You have to have two.
It has to have two solutions. Now sometimes, every once in a while, they'll come out to be the same number, but not always. So what is this going to be? 32,
32, 16.
Over 2.
which is 16. And this one is
10, so 5. Or negative.
So how do we know which one it is?
it's both of them. There's two answers.
I'm gonna sue you.
Okay, Zoe? Zip it, okay?
That's unfair.
Yeah. So when you have a squared term, you will have two solutions. Okay? These are two of the rational solutions that we were talking about last Friday with our discriminant values. And it's because our discriminant was a perfect square, we got two rational values. Okay? So I'm gonna do the next one. Same type of problem. I'm just gonna do things a little different. Okay, write your A, B, and C. First thing I want you to do is find your discriminant. You remember what the discriminant was?
I don't remember that.
Won't that be 0?
So your discriminant that we talked about on Friday is this stuff that's showing up underneath the square root. Okay. So this time what I want to do is, before we start just plugging things in, I want to find out the value of the discriminant. Okay? So the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So b squared is going to be negative 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 91. And let's just simplify that. Okay. So here, negative times negative is going to be a positive. And what is 91 times 2 times 4?
Zoom it in a little bit.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
I saw Miss Paula squinting with glasses, so I thought we'd better make that clear.
So it looks like our discriminant has a value of 729. What does that mean? How many solutions? 2. And then, are they going to be real or irrational? They're going to be real because the square root of 729 is a perfect square. I just happen to know that. It's 27. Okay, so I found the discriminant, then I took the square root of the discriminant. I kind of do that off on the side. Okay, now we can come back in. So this is negative b. What is our b? Negative 1. So put in a negative 1. Now, this is b squared minus 4ac, right? Did I already do that? Did I already do all that? Yeah. So I'm just going to put that 729 right in there. And a is 2. Let's just clean this up a little bit, okay? This is 1, plus or minus. Square root of 729 is 27 over 4. Now we're at the point where we can split it. It kind of took a little bit less steps doing it this way, finding your discriminant first. So this is, we'll do 1 plus 27 over 4 and 1 minus 27 over 4. So what's that going to be? 28 over 4. 28 divided by 4 is 7. And this one's going to be negative 26 over 4, and we just need to reduce that. They're both divisible by 2, so negative 13 halves. So x equals positive 7 and negative 13 halves.
That's what we put on this paper.
So this is the method that I like more, is finding your discriminant value first, that b squared minus 4ac, then plugging that in. Okay. And checking off to the side if it's a perfect square or not, because if it's not a perfect square, then over here you can simplify the square root over there. Okay. So let's look at one more together here.
Oh, even saves space.
Yeah. And even on your worksheet there, you may not have enough room. I mean, if you write a little larger, then you may want to do your work on another piece of paper and just transfer your answers. Okay, let's look at one more. How about this one? So first of all, just find the value of the discriminant for me. One up. So I'm back recording. So x equals, or actually it should be n equals. I'm just going to write x. It's the variable. Is negative, or the opposite of b, so that's going to be, what, 8 plus or minus the square root. This is the b squared minus 4ac. That's the value of your discriminant. All over 2 times a, which is 2. Now we're just cleaning it up. So that's negative 8 plus or minus, what is the square root of 576? 24 all over 4. Now let's split it. So this is 16 over 4, which is 4. Then the next one is going to be 32 over 4, which is 8. So your two solutions there are 4 and 8. Let's check it. Make sure you're paying attention. Okay. So now let's go to your worksheet.
The extras. Oh, from here? From the green? It's all single sheets. Right? That's how we wanted it.
The only reason they needed that one was to do that other.
Right. Emily.
Okay, so we're going to do number 1 together. First thing you do is write your A, B, and C, right? You know what, I'm just going to, at the top,
See, I don't understand the detour. I don't like that.
Well, she's getting rid of a chunk of stuff and find the discriminant first. You don't have to find the discriminant first.
okay, so
Just kind of saves a little bit.
first thing we're going to do is find our discriminant. That's b squared minus 4ac. So
She's taking that out of the...
b squared is negative 9
Which is
Everything under the square root.
minus 4 times 5 times negative 126. Okay, multiply all that out and let's get an answer. Find out what the value of our discriminant is.
You got this one? Come on, man.
It's yellow, blue, one.
Don't die on me.
So negative 9 squared is
negative 1.
positive 81. Negative times negative is positive. So because we're squaring that term, whether it's you input a positive or negative number, it's always going to be positive. And then the back end, we have a negative times a negative. So this is going to be positive. So let's see, 126 times 4 times 5, or times 20. 2,520. Add 81. $2,601. That's your discriminant value, right? Now, let's go ahead and find out, is that a perfect square? What is it? Okay. So now we've done some pre-work. We've got the value of that discriminant, so we don't have to do this inside the quadratic formula. Okay? Believe me that you will make less mistakes doing it this way than just plugging it all in like the first example I did. Okay? It'll be easier for me and Ms. Dotson also as we're grading things to like find errors if we just first of all look at the discriminant, then we'll plug it in. So this is going to be x equals negative b. So what is b? Negative 9. Okay, so it's b squared minus 4ac, but we already figured all that out because that's the discriminant. That's this number here. All over 2 times a, and a is 5. Okay. So let's clean this up some, and then we'll be at the point where we can split it. So the opposite of negative 9 is positive 9. The square root of 601 is, or 2,601 is 51. And then 2 times 5 is 10. The 9 came from here, plus or minus. The 51 is we took the square root of 2,601. Okay? And then the 10, I just multiplied the 2 times the 5. Now this is where we split it.
Do we have to split it, or is there a way we can just split it?
No, you have to split it. No shortcuts.
Thank you.
So the top one, what are you going to get there? 60 over 10, which simplifies to 6. Then we get negative 42 over 10. Now that just needs to be reduced, right? What can those both be? What are those both divisible by? By 2? So that's going to be negative 21 over 5.
It's a lunch bell, guys. For other people.
Well, there's just 10 minutes of this.
No, it's no.
So those are your two solutions. Okay, any questions? Okay, I want you to do problems 2, 3, and 4. Do problems 2, 3, and 4.